Oftentimes people ask me, what were some defining moments in the beginning days of Westridge Church that just allowed us to take off, where we just knew God was in the story? Well, honestly, in the beginning, we struggled in a lot of ways, but we chose to move forward by faith. But I can think of two stories where God just showed up in a huge way. At the very end of 1997, we literally ran out of money. We were 4 months into this church plant, and we came down to the end, and we were like, God, you've got to show up. You've got to show us that you're still in the story. And in the very last day of that year, as many of you know, God inspired a couple to give us a $30,000 check. Well, a few months after that, we had an evening service on a Sunday night, and we had a group in from Lynchburg, Virginia, World Help, who were just encouraging us to get involved with them in India to plant a church. I started thinking about that $30,000 check, and I made a decision that we were going to tithe off of that check, and then I was going to stand up in front of our small congregation on that Sunday night and challenge them to give the rest of the money needed. And when it was all said and done, not only were we able to build that building, but we took up enough money to put chairs in the building and to put a Bible in everyone's hands. And we celebrated. So many people that were there that night said, we've never seen God do anything like that before. And from that moment on, it was like our church just took off. Well, fast forward a few months beyond that story, and we knew that we needed to bring Paul Richardson on full time. Paul was working as a dispatcher at a trucking company off of Fulton Industrial Boulevard. He and Angela had just been married a little over a year, and he was doing a phenomenal job, not only with our kids' ministry, but with all of our local outreach stuff. So on a Sunday morning at Vaughn Elementary School, we brought Paul and Angela up on stage, and I offered him a full-time job as our children's pastor at Westridge. And then I challenged our church. I said, now, we got to pay for what I just did up here. And I said to our church, I said, we need about $20,000 to make this happen. The next Sunday we came, everybody was excited, we took up our offering, and I remember all of us standing outside of this little office where some guys were counting that offering, and they came out and told us, we just took up an offering of $20,001.96. People were losing their mind. I remember a guy doing cartwheels down the hallway at Vaughn Elementary School, and I remember some of our early staff members coming to me and saying, I've been in ministry for a lot of years. I've never seen God move like that. But both of those moments required us to step out in faith and to fully trust that the Lord was going to provide, and He came through. We had another defining moment about 5 years ago where we asked the question to all of you, what if we could create a movement of generosity that would shock the world and put Jesus on display? We saw this experiment turn into a movement of generosity that has changed the lives of people in our community, in our country, and literally all over the world. And it has changed Westridge Church forever, so much that it became one of the values of our church.
We are providing you with 3 to 4 months of camel's milk.
I wanted to give you a check for $30,000 and just tell you how much we believe in you.
Wow.
And this envelope is what the church gave, and we're going to give it to you. It's $4,500.
And there's $4,500 here.
That's a miracle.
Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus, thank you, Jesus.
I wanted to give you a $14,000 check, Tim. I wanted to give you guys to Gallery Church a check for $10,000.
There's a van outside.
Your church did this for you guys. I want you to know that, because we love you guys. We have seen God show up in an Ephesians 3:20 type of way, where God is doing infinitely, abundantly, immeasurably more than all we could ever ask or imagine. So we are here in 2019 in what I believe is another defining moment in our church. It's a moment where we are taking a giant leap of faith, fully trusting that the Lord is going to provide. Here's what we feel led to do. We know that in a 10-mile radius around Westridge Church, there are 357,000 people. Most of those people do not have a church home on Sunday morning. And we have already begun the master planning process to expand our campus. Our growing kids and special needs ministries don't have space to grow, and we desperately need to expand that area. Expanding our campus will create space to reach more families in our community. We also feel led to ramp up our generosity experiments, which are moments of generosity where we can bless families and individuals in need. These people have not been forgotten by God, and we have said this over and over again. They have not been forgotten by Westridge Church. They have value. We also need to expand our church planting efforts that take the gospel to people who do not know Jesus as their personal Savior, both in our community and across our country, while engaging spiritual poverty in countries around the world like Burkina Faso, Africa, Guatemala, Cuba, Scotland, and the other places where we are engaged. This is a truly defining moment in the life of our church, and here's how we're asking you to be part of it. Through our Vision Fund, we're asking every family or individual in our church to commit to giving $35 per month, which is a little more than $1 a day above your normal giving towards this Vision Fund. This amount represents the 357,000 people in our community and beyond who we feel called to reach through the Vision Fund initiatives. At the end of the day, this isn't about dollars and cents. This is about people. It's always been about people. People who deserve an opportunity to hear and respond to the gospel message of Jesus Christ. So I'm asking each of you, will you join us in this defining moment? Will you be part of the story that God is telling through our church? And I want you to know that I believe the best is yet to come. God's getting ready to write some brand new stories. He's about to do immeasurably, abundantly more than any of us could ever ask or imagine. And so Westridge Church, I want to say thank you to your commitment to this community, to our efforts all over the country, to our efforts all over the world, and it's through your generosity that we're able to make that happen. So thank you.